What is going on YouTube? Chrono here and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about, it's a problem. I hate talking about problems that pop up in the game, but it is definitely a problem that has popped up post-maintenance. It has to do with the blocks, guys. I'm going to go ahead and give my little 2 cents about it, what I think should change, so on and so forth, and I want to go ahead and put it in video form for you guys. As far as what you'll see in the background, it's just going to be footage of me doing the new combat zone, so if you want to leave this up on a second monitor or in the background, feel free, and let's go ahead and jump into today's video. So in case you haven't logged in, or in case this isn't really something that usually affects you, they've released a new system for the blocks in the STIA region. I say in the STIA region specifically because it seems like it's not affecting any of the other region blocks, or there's some sort of like minimum that's involved, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me explain how this actually works. So this new block system that's been in place, or been put in place, essentially dynamically increases and removes blocks based on the number of players that are in the blocks themselves. Now, on paper, that sounds like a good idea to kind of save some space with server headway. However, what's actually happening now is it's become difficult for players to even get into some certain rooms because blocks are full, and it's now caused certain rooms to start to die off whenever you're farming combat zones. A unique experience that we came across was the inability to even get everyone into a room together to start a farm with a group of people. We had about, I think it was 5 people we wanted to get together to farm with, and we couldn't find a room where I would join with, just myself trying to find a room for my entire party where it wasn't already full. And then those rooms that weren't full, I would try to join into, let's say a room that was 1 out of 8. I couldn't because the block was full. Now you're probably hearing this and thinking, why would they ever make this change? Like, what's the purpose? Like, who is this supposed to actually help? And the idea behind it is to kind of consolidate the player base, to make it seem like there's more people around more often. People aren't as spread apart. It kind of forces players together and it makes areas look more lively. And honestly, it's done exactly that. It actually has accomplished that process. It has made the STIA region look more lively. You come across more players more often, which is a great feeling to have when you're playing an MMO. The problem, however, is the inability to get away from the groups, and you can't really have it both ways in a sense. You can't really have people getting away from the group as opposed to being around the group. When you force it, it's more, I don't want to say authentic. I can't think of the actual word for it, but it seems like it's happening more often overall when you have those groups pushed together, as opposed to being able to, spread apart. Those groups don't seem as big as they are. That was a bit of a rambly way to say this, but again, this is just me giving you guys my thoughts on this new change and kind of what's affected. But realistically speaking, I can get where the idea behind this came together, and I do like some aspects of it. From the solo player perspective, I can just jump into a room, and by default, I usually end up in a room that's mostly populated, and I don't have to worry about scouring the rooms for a proper room. It just jump in and I'm good to go. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, as I'm sure you guys can tell by now based on the tone of this video. So the issue then comes up that when you're trying to get away from the crowd, because if you're trying to do any sort of solo content, let's say you're trying to speedrun or anything like that, yes, you can create a separate room, but blocks that have tons of people tend to be a bit more laggy. And though it may not always seem like it's apparent, small bits of lag can cause a huge issue, especially in solo content. And you're probably thinking, oh, well, Sega's not really concerned with solo content, like these solo challenges, let the solo players just deal with the lag. First off, ouch, that kind of sucks. But second off, it isn't just them that's affected. There are other players who also don't have great systems, and part of what they do is go to the lower populated blocks to avoid huge crowds so their game isn't lagging all over the place while they're just trying to, have a social time and just chill. On top of that, a lot of alliances like to use blocks as hangouts. Now, sometimes this has been taken too far by trying to bar people from certain blocks. However, just the ability to go to a block and know that most of your alliance mates are going to be there was a great feeling when you logged in. Now that's not really the case anymore. You don't really have designated blocks for anything. You don't have an alliance block anymore because your alliance block might just disappear, or it could just end up completely full. Now, I imagine this will matter a little bit less when we get access to like alliance quarters and personal quarters, but at the moment it is a problem and it's worth talking about it. While normally I would say, hey, iterate on this, make it better, there are ways to improve on it, I personally believe this is just a scrap idea. If it's not something that's super difficult to just change whenever we have updates, when there are tons of people playing versus when there's not a lot of people, when they project a lot of people playing, I would prefer that to be the case. Maybe even just have a static number of blocks that they're going to have and only increasing it when it's absolutely necessary. Something like maybe 10 blocks over an Alio to account for if there's ever, an influx or a large influx of new players, 10 blocks in the current region, STIA, maybe even 15, and then 5 in the other regions. Realistically, not a lot of people spend time in the in-between regions, and most people are in the current region, so having a higher number of blocks there would make more sense, and keeping it consistent will allow people to have that sort of social feeling when they kind of, make a block their home. And again, there might be some people out there that think, who cares, why bother? Social aspects are a very big, important part of MMOs, and that's what keeps people logging in, even if they're not actually playing. Imagine your favorite bar or favorite hangout just got called randomly one day when you were going over to that area saying, hey, look, I'm spaving on some space for the town, and when more people are here, we'll open up that space again for your bar to be accessed, and you can hang out there again. But hey, we're calling so much space that your bar might actually be full when it comes back up. So yeah, good luck. Not exactly a great feeling, I'd imagine. But yeah, I just want to give my 2 cents on the matter itself. If I had to give a bit of feedback for this, scrap it. It's not worth the time, nor the effort, nor the headache for the player base. I don't think this is a great use of the dev team's time, or even the server team's time. When I'm someone who personally is like, hey, look, iterate on something and make it better, I don't think there's a way to make this better. I think as it boils down, the only way that's going to make this any better is going to add an even more complication to the process and then kind of undermine the whole process overall. So yeah, I say scrap it and then just kind of work into a way of figuring out when you're gonna need more blocks and not. I personally would rather deal with emergency maintenance when there aren't enough blocks for them to take the game down for 15 minutes, add the blocks necessary, and then pull the game back up, than deal with the situation itself. But that's it. That's all I've got to say for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd love to read about it. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to keep up with more, and I'll see you wonderful individuals next time. Take care, everyone. Peace out.